welcome to yet another discussion on the coffee table. I am Fizza Jamal, and joining me is Faisal Sherjan. Hello.
Hi.
And joining me, another usual suspect on this show, is Dr. Nadeem Ul-Haq.
Hello, how are you?
Suspect is just the right word.
Just the right word, indeed.
I knew how to describe him. Now I know what's going on this table. So today we have actually a very good discussion lined up for all of you. But recently, I want to talk about what happened at the press conference, if we can call it, with Imran Khan, and he called a lot of journalists, nationwide,
the major
popular
anchors,
journalists, the anchors and everybody. And he gave a detailed press conference on what's really going on. And in that press conference, something really controversial happened. So since you're the economist, I want you to tell us what actually happened.
What happened is that 2 days before, there was a big movement in the exchange rate. The currency moved from roughly about 134 to about 143 in a day, and then it moved back to about 138. And that unsettled the markets, that's unsettled everybody, because a big movement, normally our currency does not move that much. So everybody started speculating what happened. And then when the Prime Minister came on this show, when he was asked, he said, I didn't know anything about it. So the anchors, who by the way like to think they're economists, I'm a little worried. I sent a message to many of them. Why are you playing economist? Many of them said, oh, you should have known, you should have known.
Yeah.
Faisal, I think that's the worst, most ridiculous statement I've heard. And all the anchors said that. And since then, every anchor has had a show on this subject and saying the same thing, that Imran Khan should have known, State Bank should have talked to him. They've been bad-mouthing the governor. They've talked about Asad Umar being removed. They talked about the central bank governor being removed, all because of this event and because they said Prime Minister should know.
But is that talking like an economist or talking about it as a controversy?
Well, the point is the controversy is not whether the Prime Minister should have known. Just like, for example, the owner of this channel does not know what you're doing on this show.
It's particularly what you're saying now.
It had been delegated to you, right? He doesn't know what we are saying. I could make a huge gaffe here. Yes, he could hold me responsible later, throw me out or whatever. But at the moment, I have autonomy. Yeah. Same thing, the central bank governor has and should have autonomy. Yeah. He should not have to go check, please, sir, may I go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
That's not the job of the
But that's where the problem now lies, right? Because with this hoo-ha that happened on that statement, and I think he was talking very candidly, right? Maybe he was a little off guard and saying, I don't know, but maybe he was telling the truth, and he didn't.
He was telling the truth, and he was absolutely right in saying so.
Yeah.
Let's go to the US, for example.
Yeah.
Wait, no, let's go back to this first. Before,
no, he's
on
going to give...
Sharif's show,
I think what we're going to discuss here is the role of central banks, right? Not just in Pakistan.
Before on Arshad Sharif's show, Asad Umar said that the Prime Minister knows about this depreciation of the value of our money. So I think the controversy arose when on that press conference he said that I actually don't know about the depreciation. That's where the controversy arises.
What Asad Umar was an earlier devaluation. There was an earlier devaluation also a few weeks ago. I think that is the one that Asad Umar alluded to.
Let's look at it conceptually for a minute. Let's look at it conceptually for a minute. All that I'm saying is, a government is made of many entities. Just like your television station, for example, is made of many shows. Each show has a producer, whatever,
there's
a whole team that does things in a certain way. Yes, the policy is set by the board or the owners or whatever, but each show operates in a certain way. And all of us are expected to behave responsibly. And if we don't, then of course, there are checks and balances. The central bank is a very important agency. Central bank is the most important agency, one of the most important agencies in government. It, after all, maintains your money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what is money? Yeah. Money is a piece of paper. Yeah. It's absolutely worthless.
It's perceived values.
Yeah. The only reason it has value is because there's a central bank behind it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, this central bank, if any central
That's why the governor's state bank's signature is on every currency note, right?
Now, every central bank, I mean, I used to work for the IMF, International Monetary Fund. We used to fight, and even today we are fighting in Pakistan. We have had 3 programs where we asked for a law giving central bank autonomy.
Total autonomy.
Total autonomy. And we passed many of these laws in the former Soviet Union where we asked central banks to be totally autonomous. And there's a whole bunch of research on this that has won Nobel Prizes. That central bank should be autonomous. What does central bank autonomy mean?
Yeah.
It means, very simple thing, the government must tell the central bank what it wants and then let the central bank do what it likes.
Well, we talked about the 100 days of PTI, remember? In there was one of the agendas that said that they will bring economic reforms.
Yeah.
And in that, they stated clearly that even during the elections, their campaign was that we will make these state institutions completely autonomous.
Absolutely.
Yes? But
So here-
recently, they have said, after this controversy
Yes.
or whatever you want to call it, they said that the State Bank of
That's
Pakistan
normal overcorrection and saying
needs
in
to
future,
report to a committee now.
yeah, the state bank will not be able to do this and that. I think that's the wrong thing to say. It's the wrong thing to do. And if anything, that has to be reflected on, maybe retracted, or another U-turn is exactly that.
So you're
the state
saying
bank
that
must have autonomy.
they're taking away the promised independence they
Well,
gave
it's
to
a
the state
statement.
bank?
Nothing has happened as yet, so nothing has changed. The rules of the game haven't changed. So till that doesn't happen, we cannot say, well, you know, they've taken this back or they've taken that
So it's
back.
just a claim that they will form a
Not
committee.
even a claim, I
which
think it
will-
was a response to a question.
Right.
Right. So a bit of, like I said, overcorrection and saying, oh, in future, we will have the state bank consult us and all that. No,
But
that
you don't
should
see
be
it happening. What
I
about
think the
you?
blowback from the anchors pushed him to say that. But technically speaking, it should not happen. What should happen is central bank should be told, we want a stable currency. Like any board. If you take a board, you've served on boards. I mean, when you serve on a board,
You lay out the
give
objectives.
the outlines and the objectives of what you want.
Absolutely.
You don't get into the entrails and say, hire Fizza, fire Fizza, hire that guy, fire that. That's not it.
No, you don't do
and that please, you should, you know, all decide when you should wake up, when you should sleep. Those things are left. What we call...
You want to touch the US. You want to talk about the Federal Reserve. Right. So let's hear you on that.
In the Federal Reserve, for example, Trump is dying right now for the central bank chief, the Federal Reserve Board chairman, not to increase interest rates. He's come out on Twitter in announcements and talked against the chief. And he has been very vocal. And that guy has increased interest rates 2-3 times.
Right.
So to the point that the market has fallen now, taking away all the gains for this year. Right? So that's been a huge
been about
event.
8% drop.
Huge drop. Right? Now, that is because the central bank is independent. I'll give you another example, very interesting. Alan Greenspan, when he was the chief, he was chief...
One of the most famous chairmen.
Most famous chairman, and there for 17 years. Not 1 year,
absolutely.
17 years.
It's a long time.
He went through 3 presidents. And his biographer notes, and he notes also, but his biographer Woodward notes very clearly.
Bob Woodward of the Watergate.
The famous Bob Woodward. He wrote a biography of him. He notes that the elder Bush, who died yesterday, he was going to, he was standing for re-election. There was a 91 recession, and he wanted interest rate to be kept low. And this guy,
Greenspan.
Greenspan was there, and our friend Clinton was coming in for the election. Baker and he talked about it many times, but they didn't have the guts to call the central bank chief and say, hey, help us do this, right? That's the kind of system we want. If you want good governance, Fizza, we must have autonomous institutions, and the Prime Minister's power must be checked. This is why this issue is so important. The Prime Minister is not the lord of everything. This was the problem with the Sharifs. They thought they were Akbar Badshah. Akbar Badshah needs to be consulted in everything. Sir, can I take off his head? Sir, can I do this? Democratic Prime Minister knows his powers are limited. He does not worry about what happened in there. Yes, now the Prime Minister has a right to ask for an inquiry. And ask for an explanation. Why did the event happen?
But going back to Faisal Sherjan, as he defended Asad Umar, saying that he was talking about the previous depreciation, not this one. So that means previously PM Imran Khan was involved in that discussion, but now
he may have been informed before the anchors heard about it. That is possibly what happened. That once the state bank had taken the decision.
So is it wise for him to say it on television that I found out through the news, in fact?
Look, wisdom does not necessarily walk the corridors of power, right? Let's put it down to that and say it doesn't really walk the corridors of power.
So it also brings out
too much.
It also brings out another issue. Are there communication lapses within this government?
There are communication lapses in any government, right? It's made up of different parts, just like Dr. Nadeem just mentioned. So you cannot expect 100% flow of information all the time. Yes, people should be more circumspect when they respond to questions. That needs to be learned. That needs to be managed.
But until systems are set in central banks, and all central banks have that, and I worked in 20 central banks, so I've seen this happen many times. Systems are set in all central banks. Every day, every morning at 9 o'clock, there are 2 or 3 meetings. We'll take stock of the previous day.
Yeah.
And then there are various subcommittees or committees that will, in an event like this,
People don't understand this.
They will be woken up immediately. Yeah, I think that's what
Which one of these anchors would have actually understood this?
When this event happened, I'm sure within 5 minutes, there was a committee meeting within the central bank, including the governor, that took stock of it. I'm sure within the next 10 minutes, they would have fired off a memo to the finance minister and to the prime minister. There's no question about it. That memo would have gone. The information would have gone. Probably the central bank governor would have called up and explained, sir, this event has happened. We have looked into it. These are the causes. This is what's happening, right? But now the point is when the prime minister, even if I'm faced with 10 aggressive anchors, all of whom don't know these details, obviously I'm going to say something that, so I mean, I wouldn't hold that against him. I think quite frankly, the anchors must respect some expertise, just like our courts. Our courts and anchors, all of them don't want to understand things. They just want to fire off without thinking. Hey, at least talk to somebody who knows central banks. Talk to somebody who's working in central banks. Yes, there are systems in place and it happens.
Okay, let me pick up what you just said. You worked with 20 central banks, right? So what kind of autonomy or independence did they have?
Well, as I told you in the IMF, we used to work with central banks all the time. That's our job.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, everywhere, we actually used to give sermons on central bank independence. And we still say central bank independence is very important. What does independence mean? Independence means, New Zealand, for example, did this very important example. It said 20 years ago, the New Zealand Central Bank and the government, the parliament, sign a contract every year.
Right.
Saying this is the inflation outlook we want.
Okay.
Right? And then New Zealand Central Bank, when he signs the contract, if the inflation rate is a certain interval, if it goes above or beyond that, he has to come and explain.
Right.
And he can actually get fired.
Okay.
But he is only held on the outcome, not the
how the mechanism.
Not how it's done. Right. How it's done is his job.
Okay.
So we call this inflation targeting, and the whole world does it. And the point is very simple. His output should be his outcome, and everybody should work on that basis. Outcome is inflation and exchange rate.
Right.
What kind of volatility do you want? What do you want? And he has to manage it. He's got the instruments. So we call this, hey, make him policy dependent or objective dependent, but leave him instrument independent.
All right, let's place you as the governor state bank right now in Pakistan. Right. So where would you be going, 2019?
And I'll put in another question. Is this depreciation of Pakistani rupees normal, considering that we are already going through a financial crisis?
I think the central bank everywhere, like all things, we must consider things, and like just you have your ratings, you have other indicators of how we are doing, etc., and you adjust your shows according to that, your revenues, your ad. Central bank also has data and looks at things and how things go. Now the way we look at this thing right now, inflation is low, but it's picking up.
Yeah.
So interest rates should go up. Secondly, our exports are down. We've got a huge gap.
So we need to devalue the rupee.
So you need to not devalue, but the point is, I think devaluation is the wrong term. I don't like devaluation. Right. We don't do devaluation anymore. That
what is the correct term?
Educate us.
Now the correct term is very simple. Let the market find its rate.
Okay.
So at what rate are you willing to buy dollars?
Right.
Right? At that rate, I should sell you. And yes, the central bank can guide the market through kind of smoothing out volatility, but not necessarily try and fix the rate. Because the only way you can fix the rate, like if I want to fix the rate of these cell phones, the only way I can fix them is if I'm willing to buy all cell phones at this rate.
Absolutely.
And if I do, I have to have the money in my bank. So if the central bank, like last year, the tragedy is, and it's a big tragedy, the central bank lost $8 billion trying to hold a certain artificial rate.
Trying to maintain
First principle of any market, forget central banking, even if you're sitting in Abid market or in a Hafiz center, first principle is don't try and fix the rate.
Okay.
You have to go with the rate of the market.
Let it free float according to market
You have to make money off the current rate. If you try and hold the rate, then you are dead. And the central bank made a mistake. They lost $8 billion, which is why we need to go to the fund or whatever. The rate needs to adjust. The cardinal principle, the way I look at it, should be that we should not lose dollars. We should just not lose dollars. And we should have that kind of a policy. Now, this is a discussion that the Prime Minister and the Cabinet must have with the central bank.
Okay, wait, I have a question to ask Faisal Sherjan now. So it seems like he's completely, he's not really criticizing the government for making this decision, for doing all of this. So here I would like to point out that we've talked about in our previous episodes how Prime Minister Imran Khan is like a philanthropist more than a prime minister he is, and he wants to.
No, I don't agree
he wants
with
to
that.
help. He wants to help with the welfare of the normal people,
That's
of the
your
common
view.
people. We talked about it before.
No, we said he has empathy as a leader for the common man.
For the common
he wants
man,
to make
exactly.
a difference.
So
he doesn't
now
want
that-
to just do things for the big industrialist, for the big business person. He doesn't want to do everything for them. He actually wants to create an opportunity for the common people.
Make life easier for the common
make
people,
life easier
right?
for them.
So why are not we criticizing his government right now that he's actually making it harder for the people right now?
Why?
Because-
How? Do you
because
see
of the
people out on the
depreciation of
streets?
the-
Do you see people demonstrating, protesting, and saying life is impossible for
Well,
me?
let's say she's trying to get at something. Let's say, what are you trying to get at?
Saying since the value is being depreciated, things are going to get more expensive. They already are.
That's an assumption. A lot of things that the common person uses are actually produced in this country. Right? So why should it affect him or her that much?
The rates for petrol and
You
electricity.
will not be able to buy Lurpak butter very easily, or you will have a problem with your cosmetics because those are not necessary.
What about the prices
produced
of
there.
petrol and
Price
electricity?
of petrol has an impact, right? But it's again led by international pricing.
Fizza,
OPEC.
the point is, yes, of course, when the currency goes down, there will be some impact on
Exactly.
on I'm not saying there isn't. But the point is, like in life, there is a balance, right? We have to seek balance everywhere. Just like, for example, if I eat too much, I'll get fat, but I can't also stop eating, right? Just like I need to exercise, but I can't run the marathon. So there are all kinds of things that you have to balance.
You're coughing your lungs out these days.
Yeah, and the same thing here. Now, the exchange rate is something that you might have to adjust.
Yeah.
Because you need to, not because you have to. I'm not saying you should do it. You have to do it, you need to do it, right? But then there are other compensating policies that we need to follow. It's a question of having a balance. Why do we need to adjust? Why does the exchange rate need to be adjusted? Because we held it artificially low. We should not have held it artificially low, right? And the second thing is we wasted too much money doing it, right? If we hadn't done it. Third thing, because we're running deficits. Why are we running deficits? Because we got a policy failure.
So has this move actually proved the trips to China and UAE a failure or not?
Why do we look at things in such stark terms? Was it a success? Was it a failure? It's a process.
Right.
Right? So you got some money coming in, which means a month ago, we were talking about dire circumstances. We were talking about Pakistan not being able to meet its obligations. We were talking about not having enough dollars, right, to be able to even pay back the previous interest on loans. We're not talking about that today. So now we're going to find another reason and say, oh, it is a failure because we suddenly don't have $20 billion in our bank. I think we've got up to $12 billion already.
I think again,
okay, so let's take a break here.
I would answer it slightly differently. It's not about failure. I would say nothing is a failure yet. But I still have to find the composite package that'll make us go.
True.
Yes, we've got some money from here, we've got some money from here.
Welcome back after the break to the coffee table. So the second topic that we have here is a very hot topic, actually. It's trending right now on the Forum of World Politics. That is the trade war between USA and China.
Oh, you mean the CFO of Huawei being arrested, right? I can't pronounce this term. Huawei.
That's a part of it. That's what
so
it became
this is a lady,
Miss Meng Wanzhou.
And she's been arrested?
She's been arrested in Canada
and
for possible extradition to the US. For unspecified charges so far.
Could it be intellectual property theft? Because that's what USA is blaming China for.
I cannot speculate because speculation is what we don't do at the coffee table.
Oh,
right? So
we're smart.
No,
like
apparently from what I heard, what it says is from what I heard that apparently China has passed a law saying that all cell phone data will be passed on to the Chinese Secret Service or whatever. And these guys are resentful of the law. But I still don't see if that is the case, why arrest the CFO?
Yeah.
But I think the backdrop really, to my mind, is what has been going on in the last 3 months where Trump has been kind of raising the tariffs against the Chinese and then vice versa.
I think there's a method to Trump's madness.
Wait, there is actually a developing story to this, why the CFO of Huawei was arrested, you would say. That USA claims in their own media report that they violated the sanctions imposed on Iran, hence the CFO was arrested.
That side of the story is there too.
Like they sold the equipment to Iran.
But then why arrest her in Canada? Why not press charges? There's a Huawei representative in the US too, and there's other areas too. For example, the US can press against China. And
maybe the one in Canada specifically broke the
I mean, violation of sanctions cannot possibly just lead to criminal charges. Arrest means there is something that's happened which is outside the pale of law. And
so anyway,
that to US
the
law.
big story that I see is the trade war, which has sent the stock market down.
Absolutely.
But then Trump seemed to have reconciled with Xi at the G20 meeting. There seemed to be a reconciliation.
It appeared that way.
They did lower car tariffs in China. There was something happening. The market seemed to receive it well. And then this happened, so the markets tanked again.
I doubt if the Chinese are ever going to buy an American car.
So the markets have tanked again. Now the question is, Trump is very fond of pointing to the market and saying, hey, look at my success. But if Trump is now become inert to the market and he thinks the market couldn't go down too, and he wants to press on with trade war, I don't know what it means for the rest of the world. It's a very interesting situation.
It is going to have, absolutely, it's going to have an effect on all other markets also, and it's already happening. Right, so every market is responding to that. When the US S&P falls by 2.5%, there's been.
But hang on, where do you stand on trade?
Where I stand on trade
Why should we not protect our own industry?
Yeah, we must, we should.
We should?
But it's not really possible. That's a very, what should I say, a utopian concept, and saying, I'll just close off my borders, I will never allow anybody else to sell anything here. It's not going to happen.
No, what? If there's this pen, Fiza, think about it. Let's ask the young person. If there's this pen and somebody makes this pen in Pakistan, should I just say, hey, let's not import any pens from anywhere else in the world and we'll only buy our pens?
You can't possibly do that.
I would want options.
No, you can't possibly do that. The world is interconnected. You know?
Well, let's make it even better for Fiza. Fiza, let's say if we confine you only to Pakistani makeup and no other makeup.
I won't be happy with that. I mean, it's not that Pakistan's
That's a very
makeup
unfair
is
question.
bad.
That's a typical Dr. Nadeemullah question.
Why? What's wrong with Pakistani makeup?
There's nothing wrong with Pakistani makeup. It's just that the kind of makeup I'm used to is not entirely Pakistani.
Okay, that's an unfair question, all right?
Okay.
He's deliberately baited
what
you
about,
on this
what
one.
about Faisal? Faisal, if I forced you to buy Pakistani clothes only.
I do buy Pakistani
You buy
clothes
only
also.
Pakistani clothes?
You're wearing
Not necessarily.
Pakistani made clothes.
Are you
right
wearing
now?
everything
This
Pakistani?
Is made here, right?
Your jacket is made
The jacket
here?
isn't.
So?
The jacket isn't.
So if I forced
but I have jackets which are made in Pakistan also.
And everything else you're wearing is Pakistani?
But see,
the shoes, yes. The shoes I'm wearing.
Okay.
The socks, yes.
Okay.
Right?
But USA wants
I
to
won't go
make
beyond
everything in
that.
their own country. They don't want production from China anymore. But that's what Trump
No,
wants
they
to do.
can't do that.
No.
They want to
That
produce
cannot
everything in
happen.
their own
That
country.
cannot happen. US is so dependent on Chinese goods.
Yeah.
So he's just saying these things.
Plus,
Does he
China
know?
is dependent on the US market.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the other side of it. If the US
The
market
problem
didn't
with trade
exist,
is that we get dependent on each other.
yeah,
And if we are dependent on each other, can we actually cut off trade from another guy?
obviously you can't.
I mean, look, for example, when the US cut off trade with China, increased the tariffs on soybean. Soybean farmers out there were crying in the US, in the Midwest. They were crying. And there were so many of them are beginning to get angry. And they are the true Trump supporters. Now, can Trump go against his supporters? So that's another thing that's coming up. But back up a little. I still don't get your this thing. Look, are you for free trade? Are you for protection?
I'm for free trade.
Free trade, no protection?
No protection.
So what
Why
about our
not?
cars?
What about them?
Should we protect them or not?
No, we
car
should.
industry,
Our car
this
industry
great
is a
industry
cartel
that's
that charges
engineering
too much.
industry that's
No,
giving
that-
us so much.
Our car industry is a cartelized industry. Right? I would want to be able to buy a car at the price that I can actually really buy it.
Fiza, where do you stand on free trade?
I wouldn't mind.
What do you mean you won't mind? Come on, don't give me that answer. I mean, what if
She
you
wants
had
her
to...
cosmetics from Turkey.
If you had to
I want,
get...
see, here's where everybody will hate me.
Yeah.
I actually use cosmetics from USA.
See? And would you be happy if he just restricted you to Pakistani cosmetics?
No, I told you that I want my options open. It's not just about...
Don't sit on the fence.
So
Question is very direct.
So she's-
Pakistani cosmetics only.
So she is going to...
I don't want any enemies.
She's going to pay sin tax. Right?
So
There is this new syntax.
Yes.
I read about it and I was surprised.
People misread that too. They
Why
thought,
is it called the syntax?
It's called the sin tax because this is something, it's a luxury. it's not something that you really need.
No.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be called a
What,
smoking.
one man's luxury is another man's necessity. So please
Shouldn't
don't
be
say
called
that,
a
right?
guilty pleasure
Sin
tax,
tax is
in
very
fact.
simple. Smoking has been proven
Yes.
to be injurious to your health.
Absolutely. So
right?
that is why.
For example,
sin tax.
alcohol, though you may enjoy it, is proven to be injurious
harmful.
to your health.
Yes.
Now, given that, you
So where does
must-
cannabis stand
No,
in that?
cannabis has just been legalized.
Just been
Now the
legalized.
question is,
So will there be a
so
sin tax
you,
on
you
cannabis
want
or
to
not?
put sin tax?
Is a small bottle of alcohol okay?
You put sin tax on these items
Yeah.
because, hey, they are really injurious to your health, and people who
Yes.
want to consume them, as
Right.
Fizza says, should have a choice. But yes, the sin taxes are meant to make you think twice before
Yeah,
using
before
that
you
product.
use
That's all. So we are happy to tax sin goods because sin goods bring in revenue and also make
So what
people...
about colas? What about the colas?
What's cola?
Pepsi
Coca-Cola,
Cola.
Pepsi Cola, any of these colas?
Some countries have that.
Yeah.
And for example, one thing that happens in the US, which
It's very
in
sinful.
some places, not some states in the US have done this, which is very important. They put on a certain tax on the bottles, for example. They say, hey, especially plastic bottles, you throw
Yeah.
them around.
Yeah.
So they put on a certain
There's a price to
deposit
clean it up.
that you bring it back or you pay the deposit, right? So I mean, the point is taxation is various ways of influencing people. So it's an influence.
Right, let's go
thing.
back to
So
trade.
during his campaign, US President Donald Trump had promised that he would fix the broken international and unfair practices.
Yeah.
That's what he's claiming to do now.
Yeah, and that he
We
specifically
must
meant...
understand that Trump is a populist, right? So he was going to say everything that was going to get him a vote.
So again, like if
He had said to Oprah in '99, if I ever run for the presidency, I will win because I know how to win. And he did everything, and he said everything for that purpose. He looks like he's saying things without really thinking
And
about
again, you
them.
don't see them happening.
No, but I see a method in his madness, right? He's provocative, makes these statements, he can go back, he can retract, he can change around, he can do something totally different from what he said. That's Trump, right?
So you would say it's similar to our U-turns here.
But I
No,
want
it
you
isn't.
to, I
It's
want
not?
you to
No, it
bring you
isn't.
back from Trump to trade because it has ramifications for ourselves.
Yeah, that's,
Should we have never had free trade, Faisal.
yeah, I know.
We have always had high tariffs.
Yeah.
We have always stopped free trade. And as we were discussing, we should do a show on our childhood, what
Yeah.
free trade meant to us, right?
Yes.
For example, even today, we have so many tariff barriers against things that we might want to get.
Sure.
Right? Should we have free trade or not? Is it in our benefit or not? Some people tell me, no, if you do free trade, all our wheat will run away.
No.
All our food will run away.
How about I
We
ask
will
you
not be
this
able to buy
question?
anything.
Are you for free trade or not? What is your stance on
I'm an
this?
economist.
So your stance would be...
Free
An
trade.
economist believes in free trade.
Yes, I
And
knew
why
he
is
was
that?
going to
The
come
father,
to that.
Why is that?
The father of economics,
Yeah.
Adam Smith, the first book
Yeah.
written in
The
economics
Wealth of
about
Nations,
free
sir.
trade, right?
Yes.
After that, all David
Not just free
Ricardo,
trade, free market
Malthus,
forces.
everybody said, hey, government, please stay out. People know how to trade. People know how to do
People
things.
have always
Fine.
known how to trade.
Right, simple.
Right.
So
People have
I'm
known-
all for free trade.
Yeah.
But the question is, my economist friends also, when I asked them free trade, they said no.
Yeah.
So, Fizza, just like you said, I don't want free trade.
So wouldn't free trade create monopoly in the markets?
No, it can't. Free
Why
trade
not?
doesn't.
Free
Because
trade means more people providing you more goods, more choice.
But what if...
More,
if you have a monopoly, Faisal can come and attack you.
yeah.
By attack, I mean he
Would
can
you
attack
dare?
your product. He can attack your product. Simple.
Yes.
He can attack your product. But that's what we call. Look. If I have a monopoly, it's like Apple virtually has a monopoly in the iPhone. But hey, it's only 10% of the market or 20% or something like that.
It reached $1 trillion.
It reached $1 trillion. Yes, but that's because it makes more money on each cell phone.
It's a premium.
Right? So they
It's a
get
premium
that. But the
product.
point is they still don't have the control of the market. The Google phones have
Yeah,
more
yeah.
of the market.
Android
Right?
is
Android is
80% of the
And
market.
Android is an operating system.
Yeah, it is an
There are about
operating
50 companies that are, at least
Yeah.
3 major companies, 4
It's the
major
same thing
companies
as
that
the
are making
PC,
this, right?
and the PC and the Mac, right? So what
So-
happened in the 80s?
So
So
all
see, free
monopolies
trade,
die.
I also see another drawback from free trade. It's what if we stop buying our domestic products? Because there's free trade and I can just go easily anywhere and buy
that's
it.
very
normal
important question,
The
yeah.
normal argument against free trade and protectionism and all that, just taking a simple example, and what's going to happen to our farmers if the East Punjab farmer suddenly has free access to this market?
Yeah.
He'll probably price out the local farmer. But I don't care. I want the local farmer to become more efficient. I want the local farmer to farm better, right? To grow more food at a lower cost so that he can compete. That is the argument I would make.
But it's a whole process. Like, you cannot just expect a farmer to do better in an instant.
So the government needs to create the minimum viable environment.
No, please don't bring the government.
No?
No,
All right.
please. Look, Fiza.
The economist speaks.
Doc, I'm talking about the regulatory environment.
Faisal, what do you produce?
What do we produce?
What do you produce? Nothing.
Yeah, okay.
Right? I don't produce anything.
Yeah.
How do we make do? We do produce something. We produce ideas. We make money off ideas, even if the farmer is...
Or maybe we don't know what we produce because we're not buying our own stuff.
You're providing a service on television. Faisal is providing a service by teaching kids. I am providing a service by doing whatever I do, right? We are providing services. Farmers are producing goods. There are 2 or 3 things that are happening in the world. Many things are happening
Before
in the world.
we run out of time, I want to hear about your next book. I want to hear about, because I've been reading little bits and pieces about it.
Yeah.
So what is it all about?
That's about research, but we'll talk about that someday because I think it's an important subject to talk about. We'll talk about it. The point is this free trade business this argument that Fiza made is a very common argument, and I've heard it a lot, that we'll die if we free trade. The point is, if you live, Fiza, by your wits. You got educated, you didn't know what you were going to come and do this, you're doing it. Faisal didn't know he was doing this, he's doing it, right? I am here. We live by our wits. We go where the market takes us, right? And we make money, and that's the whole point. That's called entrepreneurship. You make new ideas, you get along. Now, in this economy, we also have to make entrepreneurs, and we'll talk about the next segment. We have to make people who are capable of making money.
So if I get both of you correct, you're both for free trade.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Unequivocally.
So let me throw in another question for both of you. If free trade is that amazing, why is Brexit taking place?
Good
and
point.
why does Italy want out
and
from
why
the
is Trump,
European
why
Union?
is Trump fighting with Canada?
Yeah.
With China, sorry. With
China.
He also, by the way, he also fought with Canada and Mexico.
Yeah, he did, and Mexico.
And
let's go to Brexit first. Free trade is awesome, but we have Brexit happening.
Free trade is awesome, but people are xenophobic.
Yes.
Right? So the point is, free trade does hurt some people.
First solution they find to any competition is to close the gate, right? Or drop the drawbridge, pull it up and say, stay out, right? It's not going to help. Already there's a huge argument going on, right? Half the cabinet has already walked out, right? And they're saying, well, is Brexit... How did Brexit happen? The referendum, right? A lot of people didn't even realize of what the consequences were going to be for Brexit. And there's an argument going on right now. The UK, right, from where it was to where it is today, is not that competitive. They've lost that edge. And European countries have actually surged ahead. So that is going to impact them.
But there's a parallel between Brexit and Trump.
Yeah.
And all over the world, the parallel is coming out.
And what is
parallel
that?
is very simple, that the world economy has grown over the last century. We are the beneficiaries of that. We, mashallah, have done very well because the world economy grew, because technology improved. So we are happy. Your generation may not be as lucky.
Oh no,
right?
Why?
So this is something that we have to talk about later. Again, this program will not take it. But the point is, technology is taking over, yes, of course. But the other thing is also apart from technology. The inequality in the world is increasing rapidly and we don't know why.
That's
and
always
that inequality.
That's wherever there's going to be economic growth, disparity.
No, but Faisal, we benefited from it. In our time, inequality didn't increase. We actually, when we were growing up, and if you recall, we benefited from the fact that inequality was going down.
Yeah.
We were middle class people and we came out very comfortable because inequality was going down. Now these people will not be that lucky because inequality is going up and the average wage, even though we've had 10 years of recovery in the US.
Is it because people
We've got 10 years of recovery in the US and the average wage has not gone up.
Right.
The rich have gotten richer, the poor have not gotten richer. The way the system works in the Western world is the middle class floats with the boat. Boat goes up, middle class goes up too. Now, unfortunately, these kids may not have that, and that's a whole other problem.
It's more of an issue of capitalism, but here's the thing. You think that our lives will be more difficult because people in your generation is making a mess for us to clean up afterwards?
That's also true.
Why are you being so cruel to us?
We are not sparing you. We've taken care of the environment,
it's called
which we'll talk about.
We want you to learn things.
It's tough love.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that are a mess right now. It's all tough love.
Simple selfishness on our part. Simple selfishness.
I would say you guys are just very privileged and you don't want us to have a privileged, good lifestyle afterwards.
Absolutely correct. So live it.
Have smaller apartments, right? Don't have cars.
So what is
walk to work. Take a
I want to
cycle.
see you walk to work first, and then I'll follow the lead, because we do what the elders do.
But
in the
look, the
end.
point is very simple. This is the way the world is working right now. And it's a generational thing. It's a whole other thing that's happening in the world right now. The wage for the young adults is not going up very much. And that's scary. It's very scary. And this is what's happening. For example, you see France is out in the streets.
Yeah.
What's the issue? This is the issue. Brexit, what is the issue? Because the wage is going down. What they said was, okay, our wage is going down. And Trump used this very well. He said, your wage is going down because of these immigrants.
Yeah.
Right?
So you're undermining cultures
now.
now.
What we have, this is in our
Even
genes.
Brexit is that.
It's
Brexit
in
is
our
also-
genes.
yes.
We are a tribal people. Don't forget, we may think ourselves very clever, but we are a herd animal. We are a tribal animal. We are not, don't think because we got a brain, we are different. We are a herd animal. And my pack is better than your pack. Very simple. I'm going to fight for my pack. And that's what Trump is doing. Trump has said, hey, it's the whites for, he's saying openly, America is for the whites.
Wasps.
You guys go. And Brexit people are saying the same thing. Send these guys home. We want we want the whites.
Okay, on this note, let's take a break and join us after the break on the coffee table. Welcome back after the break. Just during the break, we had a heated argument between Dr. Nadeem ul Haq and Faisal Sherjan about
Heated
online.
argument, we don't have heated arguments, we have conversations.
Why don't you just tell us
Right?
what
we
you were
have
just talking about?
conversations with different viewpoints. Today in the morning, Dr. Nadeem initiated a storm on Twitter, right, by provoking some people. Right?
Who were these people?
One
Can
of
we
them
name
happened to
them?
be my daughter. So I got tagged at work and saying, do you see what Dr. Nadeem is saying? And I said, listen, I understand where he's coming from. He's got his own view on these things. So the subject of discussion was the availability of transaction platforms, or what we call payment gateways, right? So for anybody who's doing business in this country or anywhere in the world, being able to get your money for something, for a service or a good that you're selling is one of the primary reasons why you're in business. Now, we lack some of those things, right, in terms of being able to drive, let's say, e-commerce forward, or even other services.
Online transactions.
Online transactions, being able to pay for something very easily and all that. Now, my first kind of argument on this is, currency in any case, transactions in any case, 90% of them are data in any case. So a check is data, a bank transfer is data, right? Your credit cards are data transfers. Even your money order that the post office brings you is based on data. There is no currency being taken from place A to place B, right? So why is there why isn't there an understanding by the State Bank, by the regulators, that we need to have transaction platforms and payment gateways?
And also tell us, what did you specifically say that made his daughter so angry at you?
So there was
Not
Yet
just
another
her.
woman is angry
Not
at
just
you.
her.
There were
There's a
hundreds
dozen
of
of
them.
them.
Hundreds of them upset with me.
So tell
I
us
said
about
something
this.
very simple.
Yeah.
I transact with Daraz.pk
Yes.
and ShopHive. You know these. They are
Yeah,
e-commerce
yeah,
companies
I
too.
know, I know.
Now, in this country, I don't even use my ATM card. ATM cards are very dangerous.
Oh, they
right?
are?
Because they are stealing data from the ATM cards.
Okay, yeah,
right?
yeah, sure.
And they are actually, they've got the cubicle themselves, the cameras or whatever, so I'm very scared of using ATM cards here. I'm on a fully cash economy in this country.
Okay.
How do you
Fully
get the
cash
cash?
economy.
That is so
I live on cash.
retrogressive, it's
Absolute-
unbelievable.
absolutely.
But
You
how
are
do you
worse
get
than
the
the
cash?
bankers we come
My
across.
credit cards only come out when I go out of the country.
You are
I don't
worse
use them
than the
here.
bankers that
Now,
I
when
come
I
across.
transact with Daraz and these guys, or Uber or whatever, I
Yeah.
take Uber all the time.
Yeah.
I take these
Cash on
always cash.
Right.
Always cash.
So you're-
right? And I'm telling these guys, I was telling these kids,
Yeah.
hey, this is a problem of trust. It's
Yeah.
got nothing to do with technology. I don't trust people here. What can I do?
Because
So,
why do you use PayPal or why do you use a credit card abroad?
because there's trust.
There's trust, right?
Yeah, simple.
So the question is not the concept. The question is whether we
Okay, so
have the
that's what I was
systems or
telling
not.
you. So my first point was, point of trust. My second point was, okay, you need a PayPal, you need a payment gateway, make it. And these
How?
guys said, no, the government should do it.
No.
So I
no,
told
no,
them,
no. It was not about the government doing it. The government needs to just create the regulatory environment where innovators can come in and do it. I come across them every day, right? I have one team sitting with me even today, right, that has a cashless payment solution.
Faisal, when I was 16 years
The
old,
problem is he does not have $2 million to go and get a license from the state bank. Why does the state bank require him to have a license when he's actually developed the technology, which is very secure, right, uses blockchain, right, and can actually give you that factor of trust that you want? The state bank wants $2 billion.
When I was 16 years old, I went to Peshawar, Qissa Khani Bazaar.
Yes.
There was a man, tribal, sitting there on the ground, with 20 or 50 different currencies in front of him.
Yes, he's still there.
And
the same man.
And he was transacting.
He's probably his grandson now.
And he was transacting.
Yes.
The government didn't know anything about him.
Yeah.
And you gave him $100.
This man is an anarchist. He's not just an economist, he's an anarchist. You know, he wants anarchy.
I'm still wondering, how do you get the cash if you're not using your ATM?
Fiza, you've got to understand where he's going. And saying, you have the technology, go ahead and do it, right?
Simple.
Let them come after you, let FIA lock you up, let the FBI put you on the watch list.
You use an iPhone and you use an iPhone. So do you have an Apple account? Do you have a credit card?
I do.
Do you have your credit card linked to that account?
I do.
So you're not scared that over there...
Obviously, Apple, the whole world trusts.
Does it?
If Apple fails, the world comes to an end.
But you know, there has been some speculations that they are feeding...
There has been a lot of speculation, but the point is Apple has the most credit cards in the world on their file, and we have to trust Apple. There's no other way.
You're choosing to trust Apple. You're just choosing to trust.
Apple has built a reputation. Yeah. It's the same thing when you go to any of these reputable corporations. They steal our data. Yes, I know. For example, we can talk about that later too. I have Alexa. Alexa records everything I do.
Alexa, that's what it's all about.
Scared
Siri is recording everything, but we'll talk about that later. The point is very simple. I come back to my point. If the tribal guy is sitting there on the floor and transacting in these currencies and sending them worldwide. For example, if you send your remittance,
data, isn't he?
If you send your remittance through the banking system, it takes you 1 to 2 days. Through this guy, it takes you 2 hours.
He can do it in 5 minutes.
Right? So if he can do it, can you tell me why these young kids who are such good entrepreneurs, why can't they do it?
I think you're being very old school right now. I personally have used a lot of cashless transactions, especially when I was living in China. Over there, we are all just transacting cash.
Through WeChat.
WeChat and Alipay. WeChat is also called Weixin, and Alipay is also called Zhifubao. And over there, if you think that Apple is, giving your information to NSA, well, China, all our informations are already there. But it is so convenient. So I don't really agree with your statement that I think if I was on Twitter in that feud, I would have been equally angry at him that why are you being so old school about this?
No, he was just being...
Have an open mind.
He was just provoking.
No, I'm not. I'm like very
Why do you like to? Why do you like to do that?
Very simply, please tell me, why should the government come in?
No,
you see, the point is...
No, wait, listen, let me tell you the convenience.
We want the government to get out of the way.
Let me tell you the convenience of a cashless transaction. You carry cash all the time. I don't know how you get the cash without using your ATM card. Maybe you're writing checks all the time.
I write checks all the time.
And you're going to the bank. You're like in the queue waiting. Well, that is...
He likes to go up to the bank. He wants to intimidate all of them.
Not intimidate. How can he intimidate anybody?
I can guarantee you, he probably goes there, he asks them questions about this and that. And they must be saying,
oh,
here he comes again.
That is trying to look for a social life where you're not really needed. Like
no,
you have
I go
options.
to the bank, he gives me a cup of coffee, I talk to him, and that's fine.
It's looking for a social life. That
fair enough.
No, he's got a pretty
craving for
But look, I'm making a very serious point.
Listen, I haven't gotten to the convenience of a cashless transaction. Us young people, we usually just go everywhere with our smartphone. Yes, we have our smartphone literally everywhere we go. So it eliminates the stress of carrying a wallet.
So this should be your account also? This should be everything that you ever need?
It actually is everything in developed countries, in technologically advanced countries. My smartphone is literally my life. I use it for everything. I use it for public transport. In the subways because
that you're not entitled to.
I am. This acts as my transport card. This acts as my wallet. This acts as my map. This acts as my everything. Hence a smartphone. You said you like using Alexa.
Fiza, I hate to inform you. I do that too in the US and Dubai. I was in Dubai for a week, but 2 months ago.
What is your problem with doing it in Pakistan?
This here I can't use it. Here I don't want anybody to access my data. Because I don't know. There are no...
You'd rather have NSA access your data.
Well, that's a given. And I can tell
You
you...
cannot prevent that.
Yeah, I can't prevent that. That's a given. At the same time, I don't mind intelligence. I don't mind.
So do you have
I don't mind my intelligence having my data.
Do you have a Facebook account?
I do have a Facebook account. I have a Twitter account.
Do you have a Twitter account?
Yeah.
So your data is already there.
My data is already there. I don't mind the data.
Do you know when I met
I want to be secure.
When I met my son-in-law, so I asked. So my daughter told me, he said he doesn't have a Facebook account, he's not on Twitter, he doesn't even have an email. So I said, what are you hiding? And that's the first question I asked him.
Is it just paranoia?
No, he said, I don't feel the need for it. Right? I'd rather not have it than have it. Right? So some of us get addicted.
But so I think his problem is that he's just scared of online frauds.
No.
Not just online fraud, no.
You're going in the wrong direction.
If Russian hackers can hack the American database.
Transactions. I go overseas a lot. I have a lot of online transactions out there. In fact, all my online transactions. In fact, from here,
And they're Pakistani bank accounts?
I have just ordered so many things from Amazon that are delivered to my address in the US, and I'll get them here when my wife comes. But so I'm not scared of online. I'm just saying that in this country, there is a problem. But that's not the main point.
But
the main point
fixing
in Pakistan, there are really rare cases.
The main point, Faisal, is that we grew an industry based on subsidies.
Yes.
And we are still living with it.
That I agree.
If you recall, only 2 days ago in the cabinet meeting, there were subsidies given to those industries because we think that the only way exports can happen if we subsidize goods. So we are subsidizing foreigners.
No,
so we are subsidizing foreigners, right?
Absolutely. So, we're lowering the price for them.
So we are subsidizing foreigners, right? And we are the only fool who subsidize foreigners. Nobody subsidizes us, right? Okay. Now my point is we had these guys who are hooked onto the government. They're like, you talked about cannabis, they're hooked onto the drug of government.
I didn't talk about cannabis.
I just wanted to bring about a drug. I said, don't worry, but I said, look, guys, you are young people. You should stay away from the government. Be innovative. Create your own business.
Yeah, but your argument and saying be innovative, here is somebody who's saying, look, I sell stuff and I want my money.
So collect
and you're saying, don't ask for a handout, be innovative.
So collect it.
So
I think you're contradicting your own opinion.
How would you collect it?
I'm sending something from Karachi.
PayPal is sitting outside the country. You can
Do you know what happened on the 26th of November?
Yeah.
3 of your major banks, Habib Bank, ABL and MCB, refused to accept payments coming in from 2Checkout.
Now you're good with dates.
Now 2Checkout is one of the payment
Why did
gateways.
they refuse? Why did they refuse?
They had no reason except saying this is an aggregated payment that's coming in, right? They don't have the systems. They're too lazy to develop them, which can disaggregate those aggregated
That's
payments.
got nothing to do with the government.
Yeah, it doesn't.
No, it's private sector. Banks are private.
That's what I'm saying.
All these banks are private. So please tell me what the problem is.
Okay, the problem is that the regulatory environment which allows innovators to go and create a Stripe or a Square or a PayPal does not exist.
What is the regulatory environment that needs to be changed?
The state bank says you've got to have a license, right, for which you've got to pay $2 million. We have currently an entrepreneur, a female, who sells stuff to the bottom of the pyramid, right? Now, she's been classified as a microfinance lender, even though she's a retailer. But because she's financing the goods for the people who are buying them because they can't afford to pay for it in one go. So she charges them over a period of time.
Okay.
So they've classified as a microfinance lender. As a proprietor, she can continue to do it, but she's looking for investment and she signed a term sheet for a sizable investment. Now to become a limited liability company, she can't actually run this company because now she needs to go and hire a banker who has 10 years of experience and only he can be the chief executive or she can be the chief executive. It's really weird kind of conditions that exist, right? When we look at finance, when the government looks at regulatory, when they look at the environment that you have for doing commerce, for being able to do business, it's so difficult.
I have a question for you, Dr. Nadeem Ul-Haq. Since you're so against online payments in Pakistan, specifying it. So what is your opinion on the cryptocurrency situation in Pakistan? Why isn't the state bank approving the use of cryptocurrency?
State bank has nothing to do with cryptocurrency.
Really?
So absolutely nothing.
So what is the
FIA
situation?
has everything to do with it. They'll come after you.
They can't get, cryptocurrency will exist. They can never get hold of cryptocurrency.
Is it functioning in Pakistan?
It is, of course it is.
How?
I gave a lecture at one of the universities 3 years ago. And I raised this about cryptocurrency, and one kid told me that he had 800 Bitcoin. I was shocked at my wits. I asked for employment. I said, please employ me, right?
He invested in
He
800
He had mined 800
Yeah, so he's got that.
So there are already Bitcoin mining farms.
Cryptocurrency has no national boundaries. Cryptocurrency will exist. They can do anything they like, unless, of course, the CIA wants to crack it. That's a different business. But right now, I don't think the Pakistan government has the ability to crack cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
But I'll come back to what passed.
But they're trying to shut down the mining farms in China. I know they're still
That's
running.
because of energy situation.
Yeah,
Actually, one of my
it takes a lot of energy.
Yeah. But the issue that you raise is an important one,
Yeah.
regulation.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. But regulation is dumb everywhere. I mean, take this thing, for example. Take regulation. There's a building that stands in the middle of Islamabad. Two twin towers.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the Hyatt.
Right?
Which
the Hyatt.
The Hyatt.
It's standing there, half complete.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the
I think they
regulation
halted
was bad. The central,
They halted the production
Supreme
of it.
Court killed it. Billions of rupees are tied up in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that regulation is dumb. So let's go back again. Another one. Shahbaz Sharif killed buildings here. There's a building right here in Liberty. That building is lying there dead.
Yeah.
Great brand new building, well done because Shahbaz killed it, right? So regulation.
That's exactly
so
what I'm
regulation
trying
is
to get
dumb.
at
So
now.
what do I do?
And saying you need to stop this. You need to get rid of, the regulator needs to make it easier for people to do business, not more difficult.
Okay, let's
Make
reflect upon it.
Yeah.
Let's reflect upon it.
Okay, so let's just like sum it up. So what is your stance on the online payments and the previous topics that we talked about?
I think regulation is very important. It should be clever. It should be proactive. It should seek to keep a free trade going in the country, linked to our second discussion. We should have an open economy and a good trading regime.
And
So
how
what we've
about
talked
you?
about is three things. A, the autonomy of the central bank, right? Critical that they must be independent. They should not be, they have to be aligned with the government's objectives, but they do not and should not be under the control of the government. That's the first thing. We talked about free trade, and both of us agree for once that free trade should be allowed. There should not be protectionist barriers. They don't do any good. Then you end up with subsidies and you start doing all those things, trying to say, oh, we're doing the right thing by our local industry. It doesn't work that way. Third, we've talked about the environment in which people do business. If today it's easier to use your phone to buy something,
Yes.
right, then you should be able to do that, right, with the minimum amount of friction. Currently, the regulator has created so much friction that we don't have payment gateways or payment transaction methodologies like PayPal or Stripe or Square coming to this country. And the ones that are being used by people from Pakistan, young entrepreneurs, that money doesn't come in because suddenly banks decide
And they're
not going to
hesitant
accept it.
in actually
Right? So
opening
because
up.
they're lazy. They don't want to change things.
Yes.
I'll sum it up slightly differently, our discussion today.
Yeah.
I think our discussion today turns around one subject.
Yeah.
We as a people are confused about government.
Yes.
We think that government is still Akbar Badshah. We still think Mughal Badshah. We can't build systems of governance.
Yeah.
Government is a system of things which requires intelligence and cleverness.
Yes.
Great.
You're getting nervous for that?
So on that
She
note,
just wants to protect her cosmetics.
I just want to go home. So on that note, let's end this show. Thank you, Faisal Shirjan, Dr. Nadeem ul Haq.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow at
And
the
do
same
let us
time
know what you think. Do let us know what you think.
in the comment section.